Hello, I'm ZACK TABUDLO, and I'm the Mix Spotlight Artist for the month of May. So, my love for music began, I think, when I was very, very young. I started joining some competitions back when I was around 10 to, I think, 11 years old. And I think the spark came in when after I joined this competition called The Voice Kids. I was batchmates with Darren Espanto and Juan Carlos, and I'm good friends with them. That moment of like performing on stage and in front of these people and opening some of the stages of me performing with more people in the future just gave me this kind of spark to performing and just making more music. And along the way, I got some influences and inspiration from like different artists like Ed Sheeran, Charlie Puth, John Mayer, who else? Sean Mendez, and it kind of snowballed my way into where I am right now. Eventually, I got into a record label and I got to release some of my original songs, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I think the biggest influence in my music would have to be Chris Anthony Vincent. He is a very close friend of mine. He's a music producer and he writes some songs as well, but he's mainly a music producer. He's from Sonic State Studio, and he's pretty much the reason why I'm here today. I wouldn't be Zach Tabudlo and the songs that I'm known now because of him. He pretty much kickstarted the things I know today of when it comes to music production and how I kind of paved my way into getting better with my songwriting skills. It took some time for me to really find my own sound, but he was kind of like my leader in terms of starting with like the foundations in my music. So starting off with him, he taught me everything that I know today when it comes to the music that I create now. And without him, I wouldn't be the Zach Tabudlo you guys know. The biggest influence in terms of my music and style now, it's a band called Laney. I'm a big fan of them ever since their ILYSB era. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really a big fan before that, but I remember a fan told me that there was this upcoming band. They were having this like mini concert and show in a mall near my place. Me and my sister went to the concert, and the moment they performed and they stepped on stage, and everyone was just going wild when they performed their first song. That kind of gave me this kind of like impact to what I do, what I like to do in the future with my music. And hearing those very kind of 90s synths going in the background and how Paul Klein writes his songs and how it's piano driven and all these elements that they use in their music and their sound gave me such a big feel to where I can step on. And I know a lot of people loves to listen to Laney and how they make their music. So I think Laney has to be one of my biggest influences in terms of style in my music. My very first instrument was actually given to me by my mom. I remember I was very young. I think I was around 8, 9 years old, and I didn't even know how to play it. She gave me the guitar because she was a singer too. My dad was a singer too, so it was kind of like passing the torch on to me when I was very young. And parang okay, this guitar kailangan matutunan to. This is like our soul of when it comes to music. Um, and back then I didn't, like I said, I didn't know how to play the guitar, so I was just that kid, like playing around, doing nothing with the guitar, to be honest, until I joined my very first TV competition back then. And my grandma was actually the reason why I joined. She kept on pushing me on to like joining different competitions, practicing more songs, and YouTube was kind of like my way of how I got better with the guitar. So I started just playing different songs, like Ed Sheeran songs back in the day, and that's how I pretty much started my guitar playing and how I learned it. And eventually, when I got into music production, I knew I had to kind of widen my field more in terms of the instruments that I play. I can't just stick with mainly the guitar if I'm a music producer, because like there's like different elements to it that you should be putting in the sound you're creating or the music you're creating. So I had to learn the piano, the drums, a little bit of sax, some harmonica, bass, electric guitar, like solos and stuff like that. And I got into like different synths as well. And yeah, that's how I pretty much learned. It's all through YouTube. I think my very first song was it's actually unreleased, but it's a very sketchy song. Um, it's about my a friend of mine. She hasn't met her dad at the time, and she was kind of longing for her father. So I kind of made that song for her. That was my like very first song, and I think the person who inspired me the most and influenced me the most when it comes to songwriting was my dad. Back then, I was in a group, and he's also a music producer and a songwriter, and he wrote the whole album, produced the whole album with a bunch of producers as well. And yeah, I think that got me into writing my own songs, and I wanted to kind of like share my personal experiences when I grew a bit older. Doing music professionally wasn't really the plan for me when I was very young. I actually wanted to be an architect, and I was a very big fan of like doing sketches, and I used to draw comics, especially Spider-Man comics, and that was kind of like my goal when I was very young. I didn't really look into it as a professional way. I remember having, like I said earlier, like I remember having that first guitar that my mom gave me, and it didn't really do anything to me or do anything to me like sonically that I wanted. Okay, I wanted to be this big performer when I grow up. It's not something like that. It's more of I guess a growing phase for me, and eventually I guess music came into me when I was around 12, 13, or yeah, something like that. And I think that kind of took the biggest turn in my life when I was like, okay, I really want to perform and I really want to make music. And I think doing this is my main thing now. And yeah, that's when I kind of pursued being, I guess, going pro in the music industry. So I think the very first time I performed in a crowd was, wow, okay, kind of forgot. But I was very, very young then and I remember there was this, kasi back then I used to stay with my grandmama's house and my grandpapa's house. Um, there was this kind of big event in Manila. Uh, it was kind of like a charity event at that. And my grandmama was very, I think, in touch with yung barangay dun sa place nila. She had big friends and really good friends dun. And I think they kind of requested me kasi they know na yung apo ni Josie, her name is Josephine. They call her Josie. Yung apo ni Josie kumakanta. So try na ano natin, pupuntahin natin sa stage tapos pakantahin natin. I remember I sang She Will Be Loved by Maroon 5. It was one of my favorite songs then when I was very young. And I think that was one of like the first performances ever um, in front of like hundreds of crowds. And it was very nerve wracking for me, especially I was around 9 years old, 10 years old lang. I didn't know what I was doing. I remember I was very shy pa kasi nung time na of course bata. Yeah, I still remember that feeling. I was just standing right in the center of the stage. Tapos nakaganyan lang yung mic ko. Tapos kumakanta lang ako, tapos hindi ako gumagalaw. Yeah, I think that was the first on stage performance of Zach. Little Zach.